It's time for This Week in WordPress, episode number 322, entitled All We Do Now is Prompt. It was recorded on Monday, the 27th of January, 2025. My name's Nathan Wrigley, and I'll be joined today by three fabulous people. I'll be joined by Marc Westgard, by Tim Nash, and Mark Benzakane. What are we going to talk about? Well, largely it's WordPress, because we are in fact a WordPress podcast. We talk about the fact that WooCommerce has got a brand new leader. We also talk about the fact that Matt Mullenweg has appointed some new lawyers in the fight with WP Engine. What does that mean? We also get into Marc's brand new styler. He's launched something really incredible for WS Form. We've done a full walkthrough with him on video. GoDaddy have donated over $500,000 to the WPCC, the WP Community Collective. Where's that money going to go? And Post Status has been bought by Joost de Valk and Marika van der Racht. What does it mean for that community over there? We have a fairly long discussion about enterprise based upon a new survey which has come out. What's the future looking like for WordPress? And then we spend a very, very long time talking about AI. It's all coming up next on This Week in WordPress.
This episode of the WP Builds podcast is brought to you by GoDaddy Pro, the home of managed WordPress hosting that includes free domain, SSL, and 24/7 support. Bundle that with the Hub by GoDaddy Pro to unlock more free benefits to manage multiple sites in one place, invoice clients, and get 30% off new purchases. Find out more at go.me/WP Builds.
And by Bluehost. Redefine your web hosting experience with Bluehost Cloud. Managed WordPress hosting that comes with lightning-fast websites, 100% network uptime, and 24/7 priority support. With Bluehost Cloud, the possibilities are out of this world. Experience it today at bluehost.com/cloud. And by Omnisend. Do you sell your stuff online? Then meet Omnisend. Yes, that Omnisend. The email and SMS tool that helps you make $73 for every dollar spent. The one that's so good, it's almost boring. Hate the excitement of roller coaster sales? Prefer a steady line going up? Try Omnisend today at omnisend.com. Hello there. Hello. How are you doing, everybody? This is episode number 322 of This Week in WordPress, which is here every week, Monday, 2 p.m. UK time. As you can see, I'm joined by three fabulous people. How you doing? Let's go around this way. Let's start over there, which is Tim. How you doing, Tim?
Hello. How are you doing?
Yeah, good. It looks like you... I don't know if it's just melted or something, but it looked like you had snow outside your window, which I think probably was my vivid imagination.
We still have patches, but
Nice.
on the whole, most of the snow has gone.
Tim, in American terms, lives a stone throw from where I am, but for Tim and I, it's like literally the other side, more or less, of the country. But we both live in Yorkshire, so we don't really meet up all that much, do we? All the kind of WordCampy, WordPressy things are kind of taking a bit of a hit in the UK.
We haven't had WordPress leads running now since pre-COVID. We're still, every so often, the organisers get together and we say, we should restart it. It's finding a venue.
Yeah.
We really seem to be struggling in the UK with meetups getting venues and getting venues that are affordable. You know, it's one thing to say, hey, we've found this venue. Oh, it's going to cost us 750 quid a night.
Oh, I know.
For 10 to 25 of us, it's just not financially
Not feasible. Yeah, I know the feeling. For the WordPress London meetup, WPLDN, we've managed to find somewhere which is really working for us. So that's worked out really well. But I've just been giggling because I've just seen your bio, and it's just descends into chaos, this bit. Do I have to sing this?
You wish to sing it.
This is becoming a bit of a theme, isn't it? Nathan sings people's bios. I'm not sure. Anyway, here we go. Right, it says, in the style of everyone's favorite 1980s cartoon. I've got a feeling this is Danger Mouse. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay, I'm going to read it. I haven't read it before. So Danger Mouse was a cartoon in the UK involving Danger Mouse, which is like the best name for a character everywhere. And his sidekick, the irascible Penfold, who, do you remember, Mark? You're nodding. Yeah, Mark doesn't know.
I actually do know who Danger Mouse is.
Oh, okay, all
Yeah, and I'm actually trying to remember if I watched it with my kids because we found it on some obscure channel, or if I watched it before having kids as just a full-grown adult and just loving. I can't remember.
Probably the latter. I remember my dad one day when I was far too old to be watching cartoons, walking up behind me, watching cartoons, and just sort of tutting, and said, "Nathan, I think you're a bit old for cartoons now." And I felt a deep pang of sort of, okay, maybe that's it. And I put the cartoons away from me. However, revitalizing Tim Nash's bio in the style of Danger Mouse, here we go. He's the greatest. He's fantastic. Wherever there is danger, he'll be there. He's the ace. He's amazing. He's the strongest. He's the quickest. He's the best. Tim Nash. Is that right? Have I got it about right? He's terrific. He's magnific. He's the greatest WordPress. I can't get that out in the right number of syllables. He's the greatest WordPress security consultant in the world. Tim Nash. He's the fastest. He's the quickest. He's the best. When does this big explode? Yeah, thank you. I feel slightly humiliated. But
I think that's the show.
Thanks. Yeah, we'll call it
that's
Danger
the
Mouse.
show right there. Yeah.
There you go. So there you go. Tim Nash, brilliant. That was who you are. That's fantastic. So we'll move round. We'll go clockwise. And now we're at Marc Benzacane. How you doing, Marc?
Well, congratulations on getting my name right. That was awesome. I think you're going to be using it a lot today, considering there's 2 Marks here. So
yeah.
Yeah. So
your bio is much easier for me to read because it just says, "I'll update the doc."
Oh my goodness. Oh my. So
you introduce yourself.
There's a huge time difference between where you are and where I am. And I'm pretty sure that by the time I saw that you had sent out the notification on Friday, I was already getting ready to go home for the day or something anyway. And this is just me making an excuse, but I was going to update it over the weekend. And then
don't worry, just tell us.
I had a horrible migraine all weekend. So
I'm sorry.
I didn't even touch a computer. So the deal is I am Marc Benzacane. I've been involved with WordPress for about 103 years now. And I am with MainWP. I do marketing for various companies, but MainWP is my main WordPress venture. And we are about to celebrate our 11th anniversary of being the #1 non-SaaS WordPress management dashboard. And I used to work with ServerPress. I was operations manager. I've done coding. I've done all kinds of stuff, but mostly I do marketing and getting my face out there, much to the chagrin of many.
No. You're more than welcome, and I'm happy to have you here. And that was
I'm talking about the face part.
No. Very nice. Okay, so that's Marc. That's Tim. Finally, we've got the other Marc, aka Westguard, Guardian of the West. How are you doing, Marc?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Yeah, good Guardian of the West in capital letters. I've got a bio for you. I don't need to sing it or do it in like sign language or semaphore or smoke signals.
You could do it in the theme of Danger Mouse if you want.
No, once is enough. Nobody can cope with that. I'll read what it says. It says, Marc is the founder of the WordPress form plugin WS Form. He regularly checks lost and found to see if Bob Dunn has been found.
I don't know where that came from.
I don't know where that came from either, but maybe somebody else added that in, but it wasn't me. Thank you, all 3 of you, for joining us today, and I appreciate the ability to listen to my singing. Ugh. But here we go. Here's the bits and pieces coming in. If you are joining us and you fancy sort of spreading the word and you want your mates, friends, relations to join us, please send them this link, as featured by Marc's chin. there you go. WPbuilds.com/live. Look at that. What a pro. Just steps up. That's brilliant. WPbuilds.com/live. We'd really appreciate your comments. And a few have come in. Firstly, we've got Influence WP. We had a podcast. I'll explain that in a minute. Hi from Charlotte. NC. What's NC? North Carolina. 42 degrees early morning. And according to the upcoming forecast, we're saying goodbye to the colder temperatures for good. That makes for a great Monday. That does make, God, you get rid of the bad temperatures at the end of January. We go right through like till March before it starts to get better over here. But anyway, thank you for joining us. Hi all, checking in from Orlando, says Mark. Sorry, not Mark Warner, Adam Warner. I know Mark Warner is why I'm saying that. And I hope that I know that you had like really terrible weather there recently, Adam. I hope it all worked out for you. Good morning, folks, says Sir Tim Nash, who aka Danger Mouse, and also joined by friendly web guy, we know Dave. It's sun, wind, rain, sunshine, gale, and then rain again in West London. Good morning, says Courtney. And Michelle says, good morning from sunny New York. It's 26 degrees, -3. Yeah, apparently it's been like colder in New York than it is in Antarctica, which is quite a thing to say, isn't it? Mm. Greetings from Berlin. Yeah, we're all over the place. Check this out. And then we got, unfortunately, the emoji just doesn't come across, but hand pink waving. Hand pink waving. Pink hand waving. That seems like a weird parsing of it. Anyway, I'm convinced Tim is actually in the basement space with a fake window behind him. You can change at a moment's notice. Yeah, it's not real. In fact, I'm not entirely sure Tim's real.
I haven't been real for it.
Yeah, well,
this is my avatar.
It's what's left.
It's what's left. Danger Mouse watched here too. Reruns, I'm sure. Nice work. No, thank you. You're too kind. Danger Nash. Danger Nash. I think that's got really good. I think that Nathan should speak at WordCamp. Just sing Tim's bios. I don't have the courage to speak at WordCamps. Hello, says Patricia, and then Nathan is an amazing sport. Blah 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 blah. Thank you so much. Okay, there's the comments that we got so far. If you want to drop some in, please feel free to do so as the show goes on. Right, let's share what we're going to talk about. Firstly, bit of self-promotion. There's this, wpbuilds.com. If you fancy keeping abreast of what we do, put your email address into this field and click subscribe. And then we'll send you a couple of emails every week. One to do with this when it's put out tomorrow. I edit it down and, add a little bit of a beginning to it and what have you. And it'll come out as an audio podcast tomorrow. So you'll get that. And then we do a podcast episode every Thursday. I'll show you that in a minute. But also the lights are kept on over here by, I chat frequently to Adam Warner from GoDaddy Pro. So thank you, Adam, for your support and all those at GoDaddy Pro. Also by Bluehost and by Omnisend, those three companies really helping us out. Things like this just can't happen. I should otherwise be chained to a desk writing plugins and things like that, but I'm not. I'm here instead doing this, so I really appreciate it. The archive that we've got over here is our podcast archive, and you can see, look, the first comment that dropped in today was Ryan Logan from Influence WP. If you fancy checking out that most recent episode, you can. It's all about his project Influence WP, and the aim of that is to build a community where you can sort of have faith that nobody is sort of upselling or affiliate linking to things. Go and check out that post and see what you think. And then don't forget this one. A week ago, we did 405, The Nice Show, with me and Marc, where we're intending to only raise nice subjects because there's enough not nice. And so we did a whole 45 minutes. And I think it was quite nice, wasn't it? Yeah, it was nice.
Yeah.
I think we definitely overused
nice news.
Yeah, we overused the word nice, but nevertheless, that's what it was.
It was
and
nice
then,
done.
Yeah, well, thank you. I appreciate that. That
done.
was nice of you to say that. That was very nice. And so it goes right to the bottom, all the way down. And then over at this menu here, if you go to the archives and the demos archive, this one dropped. I haven't done one of these for ages. Look, it was like 5th of June since I did the last one. This one I did with, that fella over there, Guardian of the West, Marc Westgard. And it was all about his brand new styler. And I used this new styler plugin to create the album art here, which I think you've got to do. It's pretty good. I was really happy with the way this turned out. You can tell I went to art college and I've got a real eye for, color contrast and palettes and what works well together. Anyway, no, it was.
I think I'm going to frame that and put it behind me.
Okay, yeah.
Because my behind is looking a bit bland, so I think I need to just put that in a frame. It's a beautiful thing.
This bit I particularly like, you saying that your plugin is quite good. It's quite a good plugin.
I just like the cat cowering to the right there.
Cat is just sort of about to slide down and be skewered onto whatever that is. Anyway,
it's a thing of beauty.
It's a YouTube video. So like I said, if you go to the archives page, demos archive is there, and Marc's showing off all of the different bits and pieces, over 400 ways that you can style your form. You don't have to go nuts. That's for people who really have more time than common sense, in all honesty. But you can style absolutely everything. And Marc basically gives you a quick demo. It takes about 45 minutes to show what's going on. So go check that out. And thanks for doing that with me, Marc. Appreciate it.
Oh, thank you for having me on to do it again. That's what episode 7 now of our little series.
Yeah.
PS4.
Yeah, I'm keen to do more of them because I want to do more of this.
Yeah,
and have an
exactly.
excuse to create wonderful pieces of art. I went to the Tate Modern the other day. I'm just saying. Just saying.
You were influenced.
Oh, I think I'm going to be influencing is what I'm thinking. Okay, moving on. WordPress actual news. WordPress 6.7.2 release planning. Basically, it's just around the corner. If you are a developer or you've got, a plugin and you want to keep abreast of everything going on with the release schedule, 4th of February, so really a week away, basically. Is the release candidate phase. And then hopefully on the 11th of February, we will have the final release of WordPress 6.7.2. And I'm guessing that the guys over at MainWP and you, Marc, with your plugin, I'm guessing maybe you don't keep a full-on weather eye on this, but I'm sure it's in the back of your mind to test it and make sure it's working.
Oh, we have a whole team of people testing, and they stay on top of this stuff. And then when things get close to done, they say, okay, Marc, give it a shot. And I'll break anything. So
yeah. What about you, Marc? You face any gotchas where it's just like suddenly, all hands on deck, it broke?
There's always the odd thing that you don't test, but whenever we're actually developing, we always try and have the beta versions or the release candidates installed to do testing with. But every single time there's a new release, we have to test everything as much as we can anyway.
Yeah, it's not something that I get myself involved in. So typically I just see these news releases, like the WordPress is, the latest versions coming out. I just mention it, but I don't really get myself involved, but I realize it's probably a part of what you have to do. Adam says, by the way, that he loves the Nice Show. And we feel like we need the Take Art theme tune. Looking at that, that's nice. And in other news, designers feel safe from Nathan. Yeah. I'm feeling seen. I don't actually know what that sentence means, but I hear people saying it all the time these days, and I felt it fitted in there, so I don't know. Anyway, there you go. 6.7.2 coming round really soon. This was Aaron Jorbin mentioning that. Okay, if you are a WooCommerce user, this is kind of behind the scenes politics and the moving of people around. Somebody who I personally don't know, and I don't know the name of this person, and I'm going to say it's Bo Lebens. I'm going to pronounce it like that. Quotes, I am very pleased to announce that after a 3-month interim period last year, I am now stepping into the role of leading Woo permanently. This bit confuses me because it says as artistic director. I don't know if that's a job title. I'm not sure how that fits in. Anyway, my focus will be on delivering an excellent end-to-end customer experience, and I've just highlighted a few bits. I believe in open source, in transparently building great products and working directly with WordPress to democratize commerce. Make no mistake, we have a lot of work to do. People expect more from an e-commerce solution than ever before, and we're actively working to deliver on those expectations, increasing our community engagement and getting everyone working together towards the same goals more than ever before. In 2025, we're doubling down on product quality and modernizing our platform to meet the increasingly sophisticated demands of modern commerce. Anybody know this guy? I mean, WooCommerce is a bit of a mystery to me. I don't really follow that whole thing.
Nope.
Well, anyway.
I don't know him, and I agree with you that the title itself, artistic director. I don't know. It's confusing to me when he describes what he's going to be doing. But
Yeah. I just wonder if they are
yeah.
sort of playful with their job descriptions or something
Yeah,
like that.
that's what I wondered too. Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, apparently, in a statistic maybe on this site, it was just here. Apparently, WooCommerce powers about 9% of the web. So we've got this market share of WordPress 43. So a significant amount of that is WooCommerce. So biggest e-commerce platform by a country mile, and obviously facing stiff competition from a load of SaaS products like Shopify and things like that. So good luck.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hope it works well. I can feel Tim's getting ready to say something.
No, I was just laughing at this. Good luck.
Good luck. Good luck to him. Yeah, why you wind him up and see how he goes? No, seriously, good luck.
Are they hinting at the end of that article that there's going to be a kind of a period of calm, like not adding too many new? I guess what they're doing with WordPress, right? Just stabilizing and where did I read that?
Well, I think a lot of people in the Automattic line of things have been repositioned towards the for-profit side of things. And I've got to imagine that WooCommerce might have been the recipient of lots of new development time. I don't know, because you would imagine that WooCommerce would fit heavily into where those people have been redeployed. I don't know. I haven't really kept close attention on all of that.
Certainly towards the end of last year, there was a lot of discussion, mainly on Twitter, about what do people want to see in WooCommerce? Do they want more features? Then there being a little bit of pushback from plugin developers for WooCommerce going, hang on a minute, that sounds an awful lot like you're about to take my livelihood away from me.
Yes.
You're going to start integrating these things into the WooCommerce. And I think that sentence was quite loaded. You picked on the bit that sounded like stability, and I heard the word modernize, which was like, oh no, that sounds like lots of more features.
Yeah, that's interesting. So I do wonder. I mean, if you're a user of WooCommerce, you'd love all the features to be baked into. Well, I mean, you wouldn't love them all, but you'd love to have the capacity to get a lot of those features for free. But if you are a vendor of like Yith or Barn2 or something like that, I suppose that makes you a bit concerned, doesn't it? Because traditionally, these things, the CMS and WooCommerce core has been fairly lean, feature light. But we'll see, if they, now that we're in a new era where they're trying to refocus on the things that I guess generate revenue, it'd be interesting to see which ones, get taken from third-party plugins and get baked into core. We will see. Patricia makes the point that beau means handsome in French. Fancy that. Imagine if you were called Handsome Lebens. How nice is that? That's really lovely. And apparently he was at WordCamp Europe last year, he believes. Beau has been working, says Tammy Lister, on Woo and other projects for many years. It is in good hands. Yeah, I didn't make that point, but right at the top of the article, he says he's been working there for, I believe it was 6 years or something like that. And has a lot of experience working with Automattic. Yeah, 6 years leading Woo's engineers, and 15 of his 25 years of development at Automattic. So there's definite experience there. Anybody got anything else, or shall I move on? Okay, I will move on. In that case, don't really like getting into this whole drama thing, and in many ways we're not really getting into the drama here, but it's sort of a nod to it in a way. The whole legal dispute between WP Engine and, I want to say, Automattic, but I presume I'll just go with the words here. It says Matt Mullenweg hires new lawyers in the fight against WP Engine, and I honestly, I don't think I've hired a lawyer for anything in my life apart from moving house or something like that. I've never had to battle anything, but my understanding is that they can be, especially at this level, very, very, very expensive, like thousands of dollars an hour per person. And I'm presuming that you have multiple people on these cases. So maybe it's tens of thousands of dollars an hour. I really don't know. And I guess if you don't see what you want to see out of them, you start looking around for different representation. And this article from Search Engine Journal makes the point that They don't know if they've got 2 teams of lawyers now, or this is just the team now, but certainly some new lawyers have been brought on board. And it says a legal document filed in federal court formally announces that the Automattic and Matt Mullenweg have added new representation, and those lawyers have previously represented the likes of Meta and Facebook, so companies with big deep pockets. And just scrolling down, the company is called Gibson, Dunn and Crutcher LLP, and it says they're one of the top law firms in the UK. So anyway, the saga continues. I have nothing else to add to
law
that.
firms. Do you think law firms specifically, like when they're picking the name? I know the names are really just the partners, but you pick the most aggressive name to go last. It's Happy, cheerful, crusher.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good point. And there's usually 3, isn't there? Something, and something. Yeah, that's interesting. Well, these guys have been around for absolutely ages. They've been a practicing law firm since 1890, and they represented. So, I mean, I guess things like this matter at this level, doesn't it? The kind of people that you've litigated for. George W. Bush, Apple Inc., and as I said, Meta and Facebook, but also Samsung. So it does give you some indication of the seriousness with which this is being taken. And I haven't really followed the current state of things. It feels like it's all happening in offices at the moment and not out in court. But anyway, there we go. So that's the next piece. Anybody want to add anything?
I think that no matter which side you come down on this, I think that just from a lay person's point of view, and as someone who has had to hire a team of lawyers about 25 years ago, I can tell you that I don't think that his previous law firm was doing him any favors. So I do think that it's, for him and Automattic or whatever, it's probably a good move.
Okay.
Yeah. But other than that, I know nothing about anything other than I don't think their previous lawyers were doing them a lot of favors. So
I do seem to remember at the time. I remember seeing the cost of the lawyers, and I think it was definitely in excess of I think it was $2,500 per hour for the one particular person. But I don't know. I presume that one person doesn't act in isolation. I imagine it was many more people.
I can tell you in 2000 when we were suing the phone companies. We were running an internet service provider, and we were suing the phone companies. And in 2000, we had a team of 6 lawyers, and it was costing us, if I remember right, about $1,700 an hour then. So that was 25 years ago. So yeah.
Okay, I'm going to start a new podcast, This Week in Law, and
please don't.
No, please don't. No, I'm not doing that. But it gives you an indication, I presume, the caliber of the people that are involved. The seriousness with which I guess both sides are taking it. I haven't followed the WP Engine side too much, but I imagine they've got equally interesting lawyers, shall we say? But anyway, it will play itself out in the days, weeks, and months to come. But as we're a WordPress podcast, that felt apropos. Okay, here we go. Here's some interesting news. This is a piece of community news. Got Adam Warner and Courtney from GoDaddy on the call, and this is really nice. GoDaddy donates $500,000. I have a feeling, I don't know where this number comes. I think it was $520,000, but it obviously got rounded off. I could be wrong. To support the WordPress community. I'm going to read from their press release. So it says, GoDaddy just invested $500,000 in the WordPress community through a donation to the WPCC, or the WP Community Collective, which is an initiative focused on funding and empowering WordPress contributors. We've actually done a podcast on the Tavern about that. So if you want to figure out what that whole project is, or you can talk to Courtney as well. The monetary support will be directed towards providing financial, operational, and promotional support with the greater WordPress community. GoDaddy also recently released a redesigned WordPress hosting platform built with developers in mind. So back to the Community Collective. The WP Community Collective contribution by GoDaddy aims to strengthen open source communities by providing resources for designers, developers, and other contributors to make the internet work. And then there's a quote there from Paul Bindle, which I won't read out. Oh yeah, there you go. That did have the right number, $520,000. I'm gonna parse this wrong, but it feels like the WP Community Collective is a bit like a sort of escrow service. I've said this before. If you know that you want to contribute to WordPress, but you don't necessarily know, you don't want to like go and find somebody to contribute at or give the money to, the WP Community Collective could be that perfect go-between, in that they will have people who, like, for example, Alex Stein was the recipient of one of their, I've forgotten the exact word, but it's like, let's say, packages. There's a much better word for it than that. And so they will figure out, they will find people, but they'll also find projects. And so you can give the money to them. And as a non-profit, they will redistribute those funds. But $500,000 is a mighty big amount of money for some organization like the WPCC, which, if you looked at how they were getting funded before, it was in the tens of thousands by the community. It was an initiative, but it didn't have the legs that it now does. So this is a huge gesture. And I thank GoDaddy for being a sponsor of us earlier, but that's brilliant. Thank you for doing that. Anybody got any thoughts on that?
It's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
It's sort of, at the same time, not a lot of money if it gets GoDaddy the goals that it wants. And obviously, Courtney and Adam have been quite instrumental in getting this money. So they may be able to talk more or not, as the case may be. But one of the thing about the Community Collective is that over the last few months, it's slightly not changed purpose, but it has switched more into advocacy. And so this isn't a bad way to make sure that advocacy is pushed forward, and it's slightly independent from, say, the foundation. So it's providing a bit of a counterbalance between those two. So it'll be interesting to see how the money's spent. I bet that when they were all looking at their bank accounts and they're like, la, 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 and then the money goes into the WPCC's bank account, like,
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, imagine that moment. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right. Marc? Or Mark?
I mean, yeah. Just a big thank you to GoDaddy for the contribution. And I'd be interested to see where it gets allocated. I don't know. I can't remember the last time I did a donation to WPCC. I don't know. I think you could choose where you wanted.
You could. You definitely
funds to
could
be
do
allocated.
that.
So I wonder how this was done.
That's changed in the last few months, though, quite
a
lot. Yeah, now they've got options for individuals to sign up and become an individual member, an individual contract. So, and they're doing it on a very small donation that adds you into their things like their Slack channel, where they're talking very much about the future of DB.
Okay.
I'm just trying to find whether you can see the different, because it was all laid out in like these little cards where in previous iterations. No, I can't. It's not laid out in quite the same way as before. Anyway, I won't waste time Googling around.
$520,000 can't be a bad thing. So
no,
there's a lot of money. I feel it's kind of one of the few. Okay, how to describe this, right? Without sounding like I've got a conflict of interest, because obviously GoDaddy sponsor me, right? But I feel it's really hard for a company to brag, like to actually say, we do this thing. So you can put it out as a press release and you can hope that people pick up on it and hope that they sort of share it. But honestly, ignore the fact that they sponsor me. That is such a massive amount of money to commit. And then what I think is quite nice is that in this article, they also get, because they're, how to describe it, because they're also saying, look at this thing that we've done. They also get to mention some of the other things where they might not ever get that chance, because then it's not just about this one project. So here we go. The other things that they have contributed towards is $12,000 in 24 to PHP coding standards, $24,000 at the end of last year to the PHP Foundation, $40,000 to the W3C, which, that's so interesting. WP Accessibility Meetup, they're a sponsor there. And GoDaddy currently sponsors 46 contributors across 17 teams throughout this program. The company ranks as the second largest contributor with 255 hours paid.
I feel they need to change that, because surely they're now the largest contributor by quite
they
some
may.
way.
That may very well be. That's interesting. And then people like me, that I'm not going to be on that list, but there's probably countless things that they do for, newsletters, podcasts, YouTube channels, you name it. So, thank you, GoDaddy.
And they may sponsor people to go to WordCamps that we never know about. I mean, they're actually doing a pretty good job. And Tim, you said exactly what I wanted to say, only you did it much more diplomatically than I would have. So I think actually this may be a way for GoDaddy to really show how committed they are to WordPress and the future of WordPress, no matter where it goes. And I think this is a really good, I actually feel like this may be a first step, even though it was a lot of money.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting observations from you two both. Thank you. So Patricia basically just saying thank you. And then Adam, who works with GoDaddy. There will be an application process opening up at the WP Community Collective for those contributors who are looking for funding. Decisions will be made, and it's truncated, but it says by committee. And you can go to the WPCC website and you can see what that means, how that whole process is laid out. In other words, to be clear, not decided by GoDaddy specifically. And then Courtney, again, in the context of this piece, I think we should say both Adam and Courtney work with GoDaddy. Marc, thank you for also providing a great form plugin to the WPCC as well. Oh, I see. You donated your plugin, did you? So on their website. Yeah. Oh, that was kind. And then GoDaddy also annually funds OpenJS, and that is in the works for the year ahead as well. There we go. So there.
Good deal.
Yeah, good deal. So thank you, GoDaddy, for that. That piece, by the way, was over at, where was it? Aboutus.godaddy.net, and it's called GoDaddy Donates $500,000 to support the WordPress community. Okay. Speaking of an investment, here's another one. Post Status, started by, I want to say status. I always say status. I always lean into the American sort of way. It was started by Brian Crosgard, whose name I'm never sure I'm saying correctly. Brian, I've got the surname, but I think Crosgard. Let's go with that. He started it, and then about 3 or 4 years ago, something like that, he got into crypto and decided to move on. So said goodbye to WordPress and moved it, Post Status, over to Corey and Lindsay Miller, who turned it, I think I'm right in saying, into a for-profit, but kind of kept things going in the way that it has been for the last 3 or 4 years. Michelle Frechette, who's very frequently co-hosting on the show, she's become, and forgive me if I get the term wrong, executive director over there, contributing work and time and articles and keeping the ship steady. And then, so we got an announcement over the last week, totally unexpectedly to me at least, that it's now been sold by Corey and Lindsay to Joost, not the company, Joost the person, Joost de Valk, and Joost's wife Marika van der Act. And so this begs the question, okay, so what are they planning to do with it? Well, according to this article, they want it to just carry on. It's going to be, or it already is, a non-profit based in Europe. So that then has certain proclivities about who they could hire who they could have on their board of directors, unpaid roles in the short term. So they're both European, the ones that they've found so far. And they are, now let me get this right, it was Karim Marucci and Juliette Reinders-Folmar. They're the two people at the moment. And the idea is that even though it's a not-for-profit, they're going to reduce the entry fee to $50 a year. And I guess any excess money will go back into the sort of non-profit status. Marc's just Marc's just gone into Halloween.
I'm telling you, this place, no matter which studio I use, the lights go out if I sit still for
Oh,
more
I
than
see.
like
It's
5
okay.
seconds.
I thought you'd
Yeah.
invoke some sort of like scary.
So I have
mode.
to jump up and down and dance like a monkey in order for them to come back
Yeah.
on. So
No sitting still. Just sing Danger Mouse in your head. That'll get you going.
Okay.
You just have it going in your head. So anyway, that's fairly big news. Certainly community news. I know that a lot of the WordPress community have congregated there in the past. I don't know what the numbers are, whether it's tens of thousands or thousands. I'm not sure. But you now have a new steward, or stewards plural, over there. Again, over to you. What do you reckon?
Well, if you're not a member of Post Status, you should be, because it's such a great channel for meeting people in the community online. I think their Slack channel is probably one of their most valuable assets. It's nice to see that. I spoke to Yoast about it and Michelle about it as well. I'm excited to see where they're going to go with it. And I think one of the things that I might be wrong with this, Michelle, she's in the chat, but I don't think Post Status currently has the history on it. They don't have a paid version, so I think they're looking to get that back.
Yep.
So you've got all the history and stuff back there. Yeah. So that'll be good.
The article says that if you're a non-profit, you can receive as much as, I think, 85% reduction on the Slack fee if you go to whatever it's called, Pro or whatever Slack's history, the Pro version, which enables history. And I think your $50 is primarily going to go into that, I would imagine. Even with $85% off, I still imagine it's not an insignificant amount of money.
I mean, for $50 a year, you're looking at what, $4 or $5 a month to have access to quite a few people. Certainly if I use it, if I'm working on a certain project and I need to talk to somebody within a certain company, it's a great resource. Better than LinkedIn for me. So
I think Marc's possibly also highlighted the problem with Post Status. I think, to be clear, I think Michelle's done a fantastic job in the last couple of years changing the culture, because Post Status has historically been horrible if you're not in the right clique.
Correct.
It sums up everything that's both positive about the WordPress community and wrong about the WordPress community at the same time. In that, for some people, they like, this is my community, these are my people, and they're all very close-knit friends, and then new people coming in, it was a very unpleasant experience. And for a lot of people, they felt pushed out, especially when suddenly there were rapid changes in sort of like how things were set up. So, I mean, for me personally, I haven't been in Post Status for a couple of years now, but I've been watching from an outside, looking back in, going, I'm hope that they reach a point where I will feel happy to come back, because at the moment it doesn't, and it's weird because I should be the ideal person there. All my customers are in that Slack, and yet I, for a long time, felt very much like I wasn't wanted.
Gosh, that's interesting feedback, isn't it?
Left a long time ago, and I'm hopefully, I'd like to. I have more faith now that there's a chance that the culture will have finally fully shifted away.
Do you know,
there was a lot of that's down to Michelle, obviously, and her exceptionally hard work.
There was a paragraph which I didn't quite understand, but I highlighted. I wonder if this is a nod to what you were saying. So let me just read this bit out here. It was entitled Politics, and it says, while we have a clear no politics rule on Post Status, we do, of course, discuss WordPress and wider open source politics. We will individually have opinions and will share those. The Post Status Foundation has no plans to take any political stance in these discussions. We want Post Status to be a safe place to all. So maybe actually thinking about it, maybe that's more to do with what happened between Automattic and WP Engine, thinking about it. But also, I don't know, maybe there is an understanding that some people didn't have the best experience, and you've got a story there.
It's nice that there are stewards who have come from different backgrounds who are starting to realize that certain cliques will inevitably form. And I think Tammy's just put a comment that says that you can always mute channels, and I think maybe that's a nod that Post Status is much closer to social media than perhaps it is to
interesting. Yeah, okay.
That might also match what Marc said, that he finds it useful more so than LinkedIn.
Yeah, I personally struggle with anything like Slack, where there's like a channel and it can accelerate really quickly. And by that, I literally
Yeah.
mean the number of posts accelerate. So,
Yeah.
I go away for 24 hours, and if something's really difficult, hot, it's hard for me to loop back. And I don't know that there's any system which is better than Slack for that, but I find it can be quite hard trying to figure out where the replies are and who said what and
Yeah.
those kind of things.
Even with threads, Slack can be a little bit difficult.
Yeah, yeah.
But I actually have been a member of Post Status since the beginning, which is crazy. And I remember, well, it's been enough years that hopefully I won't get into trouble for saying this, but I actually had a conversation with Brian Krogsgaard back in the day. And I don't know how we got on the subject, but he was trying to think about ways to, it was for profit for him at the time. The whole idea was for profit. And he and I were talking, and I said, just kind of, pigtailing on what Tim said. I said, the problem with Post Status is it feels very elitist to me. And Brian said, that's the intention. And so he said, I want it to be for people who can afford to pay the fee, essentially. And so I felt that was leaving out. It wasn't, I think his attitude, and I'm not saying it's wrong necessarily, but I think his attitude was, there are enough all-inclusive things within the WordPress community. I wanted something that was a little bit more, more elite, or more, ended up being very cliquish to me as well, but I stuck with it. And then when Corey and Lindsay bought it, I thought, okay, maybe it's going to get better. And it has gotten better. And now with this next iteration here that's coming, I think it's just going to keep getting better. So I'm really excited to see where it goes. Yeah.
So just a couple of comments on that. First one is, where is it? Yeah, you'll be able to, there's a $50 registration fee. If you are interested, that is going to be, it says Michelle is giving this comment. WS Form will be on the site soon with a $50 registration fee, so you can start looking into that. Tammy said that it wasn't always the easiest space, but I think people people also you can mute channels, so if something's getting a little bit hot for your fancy, you can do that. Hope it comes a space where others feel welcome. And Michelle's reply to that was, we're working on that, Tammy. And this kind of cuts through it all as far as I can see. So this is Matt Medeiros from the WP Minute. He says the challenge when you have thousands of people in one space. Yeah, I mean, true. It's inconceivable, right? You put thousands of people in one space and say, can you all just get along all the time about everything? And the first comment will be, no. Oh, all right. So I guess framing and making that community a healthy place to be, and just putting some clear guidelines in there will be good. There's a lot of members, so we're sticking with this for a bit because it seems to be getting quite a few comments. Michelle saying there's a lot of members who have read and watch lurk rather than jump into the main channel conversations. And then Courtney Robertson, I interpret the self-moderation about politics to imply national governmental type of things. Okay, thank you. But less about talking through WordPress things. Thank you. Tammy, I agree. The noise to interaction ratio is hard when faced with lots and lots of channels, basically. And a true community, Michelle again, a true community should include everyone, not just the WP elite. And Adam said, I love Tim's comment about it being akin to social media platforms. What did you say then, Tim? That's gone out. Just literally that.
It's more like a social media platform.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks. So lots of comments there. And wow, loads. And I just wanted to try and find another comment from Matt Medeiros from WP Minute, who quite, again, cutting through all the chaff, saying, how come Mark Benzicane, how come he never gets up for his show? That's what he's saying. Mark.
Okay, in my defense, hey, Matt, you never asked.
Oh, you heard it here first. There we go. Okay, let's move on. Let's go to the next piece. Anyway, there it is. You've got new custodians over at Post Status.
Good luck.
Yeah, good luck. 22nd of January, that piece came out. Right. Next one. I don't suppose any of us are WordPress.com users. Maybe we are. I don't know. But if you aren't, then this might be surprising to you. So there's the .com side and the .org side. .com, you pay to play. So it's, it's more like a SaaS basically. And the .org side, download, put it somewhere, do what you like with it kind of approach. The .com side, for various historical reasons, has had a really different UI. And over the last few weeks, it's emerged that one of the initiatives in 2025 is going to be to make .com look more like .org. I've got to say, I'm glad it's going in that direction and not in the other direction. I'm glad the .org isn't going towards the .com side of things. And here is their piece. So this is WordPress.com, so presumably directed at people who are using the .com platform, and basically they just lay out, look, we've got a new UI, but it really doesn't look that new unless, that's what it looks like now. I'm showing on the screen what basically looks like every WordPress install you've ever seen, except it's got these featured images, which we don't have. And then there's what it used to look like. Now, this is a platform called Calypso, which is now basically being retired. And I'm just sort of wondering, with all of this, you've obviously got a few people who love it on the .com, and there's a few people who are saying, hang on a minute, what are you doing? Quite a few comments, can I have the old UI back? I've got the muscle memory all dialed in, I know where everything is, and now you've just launched this other UI. So there's that. I mean, you're going to get that whatever you do, right? You're going to get dissatisfied people. But that's how it's going. But it did make me think, isn't the intention in 2025 to kind of redesign the admin UI of .org? And if that's the case, will the .com people get like another major reboot in the year 2025? I don't know. Anyway, there you go. So, and another thought from me is that I do wonder if we're at that point with WordPress where the automatician side of things, we learned recently that the Automattic employees have been repurposed toward things which generate revenue. And I wonder if this is just a way of, okay, we don't need to maintain these two things. Can we just have one thing to maintain and it'll be a lot easier, a lot less overhead, blah, blah, blah. Any thoughts on that? I don't suppose any of you use .com anyway, but maybe you do.
Years and years ago, .com used the same admin interface as .org. You used to click off from their like SaaS application and you got bumped into something that looked exactly like WordPress. So they've gone from looking like WordPress to Calypso, which was supposedly going to be a lot of experimentation done, which would feed back into the .org project about what would have made the new interface. Now they come back and we're going to be moving them to the next version, maybe this year. That would be fantastic. I don't know, it's not in the show notes, but I've seen some amazing clips in the last day or two of experiments on the new UI.
Oh, like the site editor in the page editor. Oh, yeah.
Like, so it's like, so there's lots of interesting and fun things there.
Yeah. But can you imagine how confusing that would be if you were just like a .com user and you've got this sort of sassified thing and I don't know, you don't want to tweak too much. It could be chaos. Could be really.
It could, but you also now have a plan where you switch over to your new one and everybody gets, I hate this. And you go, we've listened to your feedback. Here's the new version.
Oh, I see. Oh, nice. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. We've got a nice new shiny thing coming. Okay. Marc, plural, anything?
I mean, I have a .com account just for testing plugins because the user interface has different dimensions to the repo version. So we have to actually modify our user interface to handle all these different flavors of WordPress that are out there. So it would be nice if it was consolidated. And then, I guess you're right because I've been doing some work with data views. With Data Kit and looking at their new UI. So if that does come out, that is going to be, yet another change. The data view thing is really cool. I'm actually looking forward to that coming out. It's really because the older system of like viewing the posts that's very, very old code. The data view thing is very cool. So looking forward to that coming out. But yeah, that would be, yet another version for them to contend with and get feedback on from their customers. But
actually thinking about it, that data views would lend itself quite nicely to well, obviously the .org side of things, but the .com, I don't know. Do you want a featured image? Yeah, switch it off. Do you want to see
Yeah,
this
because
column,
you
that
can
column? Do you want to
configure
make
it.
up some column? Yeah, yeah. It's
Yeah, I mean,
interesting.
I love like Admin Columns Pro
Yep.
because you can really configure it, and Data Views does that to an extent. So just having the ability to choose which columns you want and things is really nice.
It is interesting because I didn't foresee that coming. I thought .org and .com would remain. I don't know. I just had no intuition that was going to happen, and yet here we are. And I'm presuming getting the two to be similar so that they can produce, I don't know, one set of documentation around.
Yeah.
If you want to achieve this, go to this article, and whether it's on .com or .org wouldn't really matter.
Yeah, I can imagine managing both is a lot of work.
Yeah,
testing
yeah,
both.
yeah. Adam has a question. He says data views is user dash customization. Yeah, so yeah, basically wherever you've got data displayed, like I don't know, it could be the list of your users on your WordPress website, or posts or pages or media or whatever. Yeah, the ability to customize it, make it sortable, filterable, searchable, and the idea it will be handing the control to people like you and I with a point-click interface, as opposed to.
But it's also a nice API. So if you're a plugin or any kind of developer, you can plug into it and create list views that are going to look consistent. The way it's done right now is you take a class and hack it basically to make it look the way that you want it to.
Okay.
So this actually has a nice API to it that lets developers plug into that consistent looking view without the need for too much hacking.
Oh, Tammy makes the point, that they now. So the thing is, she said, they, meaning .com, I guess, now get the benefit of any change in core. So one code base to maintain in that point. And then Adam says what Tammy said, and then we have a new way of saying Gutenberg. I like it. Calypso, which was the .com interface, which has now been retired, did inspire a lot of work in Daberg. I like it. Daberg. It sounds like a band from the 80s. There was Chris Daberg. That was it.
Chris Daberg.
Yeah, Chris Daberg. There we go.
Chris Gutenberg.
Yeah, Chris Gutenberg. Yeah. Exciting times indeed. So anyway, there you go. If you're a .com user, probably a little bit jarring at the moment. Certainly, you're waking up to something new. It's not that difficult to get the difference between the two, though, is it? I mean, if you look at it, it's not really that hard to parse the featured image, move from one side to the other, but all right.
Some people like to complain, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, it is quite a thing, I suppose. Okay, anyway, there you go. That's what's happened there. Right, moving on. I thought we'd spend a little bit on this. So I obviously don't work in the WordPress Enterprise sphere, but the annual report comes out at the end of each year, and well, we've certainly got last year to compare to this year. State of WordPress Enterprise. So you can find this at soewp.com, and I confess I don't know who actually wrote this, but it has been contributed to by, it says here, 100 organizations, and I'm presuming some of the icons that you can see here are those people: 10up, American Eagle, Crowd Favorite, Web Dev, to name but a few. There's a whole great list there. And I thought we'd just go through a few of these bits and pieces. The nice thing about this is that you can compare last year's data to this year's data. So if I click that, you see 2024's data. And if you click that, you see 2023. And it doesn't go any further than that. But in most cases, it's basically the same. So, if you've got where is WordPress being used at the enterprise level, surprisingly, to me at least anyway, it's EMEA. It's that region which dominates 54%. NORAM, so North America and various other locations, is a little bit less. So nothing really to surprise you there. Who's it been most used by? Well, it's media and publishing. That really doesn't change. And in fact, most of it doesn't change. So one thing that did drop a little bit is education, which was a bit of a surprise to me. I thought that was being used more. It went from 9%.
Disappeared.
Yeah. Say again.
Government disappeared as well.
Oh, interesting. So government was on 2%. Yeah, thanks for spotting that. And that just went off the chart. And education went from 9% down to 5%. But broadly speaking, it was the same amount. The size of the website, again, the demographics, you'd imagine in the enterprise it's going to be big, and it kind of broadly stayed the same. And then Let me just go and find this one. What's it being used for? What do they use it for? It used to be publishing news, and basically it used to be to create on-site content. Published news came in second. That's now gone to the top, but broadly speaking, the same. Headless, though, that is a bit of a change. Headless seemed to be like this big trend. Everybody was talking about headless. And so let's go back to the 23 cycle. Are you using headless in your infrastructure to create your, front end? And yes was this 28%. No was 56%. And don't know. Interesting that you don't know, was 16%. Okay. And then in 2024, so really you're watching the yes bit, it was 28%. The yes bit is taking a bit of a hit, 16%. So it would appear that organizations at that level anyway, maybe they're just relying on normal, for want of a better word, WordPress ways of doing things. This chart goes on and 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 on, loads and loads of interesting data, but I really wanted to get to this one right here. No, not that one. This one. I thought this was kind of interesting. So I've deliberately left it on last year's data. The question is, do you foresee that your organization will continue to use WordPress? And obviously this kind of underpins a lot. If the enterprise are moving away, what does that say about adoption of WordPress to everybody else? Discuss. Go and write an essay about it. But here we are. Last year, okay, and Tim cleverly spotted that the question has been changed round. So the affirmative now becomes the non-affirmative, but it doesn't matter. Basically, yes is blue in this case. We're going to use WordPress next year, 91%. So high confidence that WordPress was going to be the platform of choice. I know it's not changed enormously, but it's basically gone to 75%. Now that seems like quite a drop to me.
So it wasn't that it was that they changed the. It looks like they've changed the answer, so that it's instead of asking the question, the question, do you agree with this? Yes, no. Do you agree with this? No, yes. And so there's a slight slant, and it was noticeable further up. There was another one where there was a subtle change, and it might just be the way they're showing this on the page, and the questions themselves were not changed. But if you swap around statistics, the one thing you know about statistics is that there's lies, damn lies, and statistics. And you can make statistics appear what you like. If you don't ask questions to education organizations, education won't appear in your reports. So
right.
When you're like, if you don't ask any government departments, do you use WordPress? They're not. Nobody else.
No, there's no there's no government.
Is ever going to say yes? We use it. So it really does depend on who you're asking and what those exact questions were. But I'm sure it doesn't affect it that much. But it was just a noticeable.
No, I know what you mean. I know what you mean. If you ask questions in a certain way, like a positive answer can be different to a negative style answer. It can lead to a different set of data.
The thing that upset me more, though, was that the pie chart swapped sides, and that just that causes small amount of pain.
Okay. There's no OCD there, but yeah, I get the point. No, I didn't even notice that, which shows you. But I think this is kind of interesting. So that is at the enterprise level. That's a big shift. That's like a full 15% drop, and I don't know if that concerns you, but it feels like if the those companies right at that top level, the really big agencies are 3/4 of them are happy. They're going to just blindly use WordPress in the future, but a full quarter of them now into the next year are going to be looking around for other ways of doing their websites, and I'm presuming that speaks to what's been happening more recently in WordPress. I don't know.
I'd also be curious to see what the actual questionnaire looked like, because I also think that sometimes when people fill out questionnaires, they just go for the first answer. So if no is number one, they're just going to click number one. But it also has to do. I've done a lot of reading on how pollsters, when they're hired by a company, how they're paid basically to form the questions in a way that would get the answer that they want. And I remember very clearly, right after Trump's first term, I remember getting a survey that was very clearly from the Trump campaign that basically said, how did you feel President Trump did? And my answers were very good or excellent. I didn't have any other choice, but very good or excellent.
Oh, really? Oh, gosh.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a survey. Yeah.
So, and I thought, well, usually pollsters, do a better job of hiding their intent, but
Yeah, that really
you
is
know,
nailing your colors to the mast there.
but that's why whenever I look at polls like this, I always am curious. What the actual questionnaire looked like and how the question was posed. I think that's extremely important. So
And
I
also
don't
we
know
are,
that I put a lot of stock into the actual charts
yeah.
until I see, what was questioned in the first place.
And I guess we're reading quite a lot into what 100 respondents, it's not a great big survey. But then again, I don't know how many agencies would fit into that really globally. I mean, maybe
you
there
also
are
need to have the same companies that they work with
every year. Yeah.
If you're not getting the same people feeding back, that
Right.
last one in particular, unfortunately, is utterly meaningless unless it was the same companies polled.
Yeah, interesting. Okay. Yeah.
What would be really fascinating is to see at the end of this year how many of people polled. They then went back to poll them again, and they said we don't use WordPress.
Yeah. Well, that
Yeah.
is what I'm wondering if that's going to be something that does come out of it, if things will have changed. Because another one, just sort of similar question, is the follow-up one, and this is how likely is it that you will recommend WordPress to other agency organizations? And you can see, so okay, firstly in 2023 it was 0, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm presuming that means that there were no respondents in the 1 to 4 range. I don't know why that's there. That's kind of weird. But if you hop to this year, 1 to 4 is included. So I don't really know what that means. Anyway, the point is, if you look at 7, 8, 9, or 10, so quite likely that you're going to recommend, it really does take the bulk of the entries. And then in 2024, again, 7 to 10. I'm sorry if you're listening to this, it's very visual, but the bulk of the entries, this is still the bulk of the entries, but it's definitely sort of also a little bit on the sort of the 0 to 6 as well. So interesting. I wonder if it reflects some sort of malaise. I don't know. Only time will tell. But it's gosh, still very positive. The majority, 23% in 2024 said a 10 out of 10. That they will definitely be recommending WordPress. So maybe the sky is not falling in. And Tammy said, yep, proper validity of data. Okay, so there's 10 minutes of your life you're never getting back. And we've no idea whether or not any of that data was cogent or not. But
It looks pretty though.
Yeah, it's very nice. Very pretty. There we go. And that's what sucked me in, frankly, Tim. As you could see from the graphic that I presented to you, UI is my thing. I am very good at creating beautiful graphics. And so I
should do next year's Enterprise. So.
Well, I don't like to spread myself too thin, Mark, is the I've said it before and I'll say it again. I have the design skills of a potato. And I'm not a very good potato either. One of those stale ones with black bits in it. That's the that's the problem. Right. Okay. Moving on. Let's move on. Okay. I'm going to have to cut a few bits because we're short of time. So I'm going to just sort of scoot around if you don't mind. And I think I'll go here. I'm going to miss out a fair few bits. I apologize, team. Next one. This joins a growing cadre of plugins which seem to do a similar thing. There's Command UI from Sneaky Trick, and the name I am so sorry, the chap's name has gone out of my head and I feel really bad because we've talked quite a lot about his product. Oh, stuff's happening. Check it out. Check out Tim. Look at this. First
window cleaner.
For this week in WordPress, there's window washing happening at the same time. Drop the mic moment.
When I'm cleaning windows.
This is about as exciting as it's ever been. Swings the windows again. That's brilliant. I love that.
That's the best virtual background I've ever seen.
Yeah, I don't know what to make of that.
There's your title for this episode.
That's right. Window screen washing. Window washing. Command UI was a thing. Somebody helped me out with Calvin Alkin. Thank you so much. That was all it took. But also, Ross Wintle has Turbo Admin, And now it's been joined by Lexia Command. So this pops up in your WordPress install. A plugin, in this case, will pop up and allow you to do various bits and pieces. I haven't used it. I have no notion as to how good it is, but I just thought it was kind of interesting. Maybe it's like a new little niche sector for interacting with your WordPress website. So there's that. And then also moving into the AI sphere, if you know Nick Diego, puts out brilliant WordPress content and is a developer relations person for Automattic. He's produced this really good video this week about using Cursor AI, which I've never used, I confess, to do WordPress development, and some of the pitfalls and how you can sort of, as the video goes on, it's about 12 minutes, sort of like backpedal and say, no, I want this instead. My only experiences with developing code with AI have been catastrophically bad, which either means that I can't ask questions correctly or AI is catastrophically bad at producing code. I tried it this weekend, and I would say 90% of the time it was junk, frankly. So I don't know if you've had similar experiences, but
What's that about a person's only as good as their tool? The tools are only as good as the person who's wielding them.
I have no words for that. Slight. I don't know what to make of that. No, I'm definitely blaming the AI. It's not me. No, you're right though. I think really hard about what I tend to descend into is I tend to write in the way that I would write to a friend. There's all sorts of niceties wrapped up in my language. So I find that I'm doing things like, please can you, rather than just some sort of like, brute force instruction. And I think that is my problem. There's too much politeness. But what I notice is when I go back and ask it to correct something, it's always the same. It comes back with, oh yes, of course, WordPress can't do this. And it sort of apologizes. So it comes out as this very sort of human entity, which of course it's not. Have they gone, Tim?
They're now replaced by the dogs barking.
I can't hear the dogs bark.
And a horse trying to attack a dog. But we'll carry on. I may have to disappear in a second.
Remove directory /s equals window cleaner. There you go. Right. So I don't know what your experiences has been with AI. I know you've sort of tinkered with it a bit in the beginnings, didn't you, Mark? But I don't know if that's your thing these days.
Yeah, we use it. We're integrated in with OpenAI. I take the code that comes out of OpenAI with a pinch of salt. It's, if you know what you're doing and you look at it, it's missing stuff, and you have to prod it to get it to do what you want. So, but I guess that's one thing that worries me is there's a lot of people go, yeah, I just built this plugin or browser extension from one prompt in OpenAI, and then they push it out, and it's just not secure. And
do you know what? It's like the best news ever for Tim's line of work. It's like let's just put out whatever OpenAI comes up with, and Tim's like
endless customers.
I'd like to think I already had endless customers. It's surprising how many people don't realize they should become one of my customers.
Yeah.
But
that's true.
There is very noticeable that the other day I opened up some a client's project, and I went, normally I have what I call the Stack Overflow moment, where I'll be wandering along and go, oh, this is where they copy and pasted from Stack Overflow, because all the style changes and all the structure changes and all of a sudden it's different. And I opened it up and I was like, oh, they're using OpenAI. I just carried on. And somehow in my brain now, I can identify code that's been written by, and often I'm starting to recognize multiple AIs as well. So there's like, oh, they're using Claude, or they're using ChatGPT. And that's
it definitely
terrifying.
OpenAI definitely has a coding style, doesn't it? And you can detect that, and it does some just really weird things. I actually, when I was coding the styler, I just wanted some equations for color functions. That's all I really wanted, and it was giving me code back. And I was saying, that's a weird. You've got a function within a function there that doesn't need to be there, and you can shorten those 6 lines of code down to 1 line of code, and you prompt it, and it goes, "Oh yeah, I'm sorry, but
you're right. Sorry, you're right.
I should have done that in the first place."
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I actually created a plugin a few weeks ago to a stock screener that I wanted to create for screening stocks, and it actually worked exactly after a lot of prompting, it actually worked exactly like I wanted it to. Unfortunately, my theory on what to screen for was, not well based. But I will say that running something like a Chat GPT or something, I equate it to having an employee with good potential and a really short memory. That's what it feels like to me.
I like it. Yeah. So can't remember what it did moments ago. Well,
Foolish development.
Dave said just treat it like a junior developer.
I think this is the thing that really is a little bit scary, is that I hear that a lot, and I've said that exact phrase, and then I thought about it and thought, well, if we start doing that too much, we're not going to have any junior developers. And actually, I don't think these sort of AIs are not going to take Marc's job away from him. They're not going to take most senior developers' jobs away from them, because at best, if you use them well, they do speed up your development process. You can spot the mistakes. You can correct it. You can just go, actually, I'm going to ignore that and write this bit myself, because you're clearly not going to ever get this. That does mean, though, is that if those developers are working faster, they're working more efficiently, the next generation coming in haven't got that knowledge base that is auto-correcting the AI. So either they rely on it, in which case we end up in spaghetti code, which we are starting to see generally populating, or they don't get that chance to learn. Because what are they learning from? They're not learning off the senior devs that they would have normally traditionally learned from. They're learning off an AI, which is learning off them, which is learning off, and that's a horrible route we should go down. So I really feel sorry for people who are coming into this industry now, because just treat them like a junior developer. We're not paying them like a junior developer. There are lots of people who want to become developers who are going to struggle to get those jobs in the future. Not because they're not available, but because the senior developers already have the skill set and now have AI junior devs to help them.
It's like the evolution of code, though, isn't it? I mean, 20, 30 years ago, we were doing machine code, and actually we had to code to get the computers to do what we wanted to do. And the evolution has been towards almost a no-code environment where we're dragging and dropping and we're asking AI. And so the need for the younger generation to code is no longer there. And that's interesting. That's definitely, because I mean, I grew up, I've got a Spectrum 48K sitting over there that's how I learned to code. I sat there and coded in BASIC, and I used to code 68,000 processors and stuff. You just don't do that anymore. You turn the computer on and drag stuff and make it do what you want. So the natural desire to learn how to code is not there the way it used to be.
You mean, good old fashioned days where we had to get a book or a magazine would come out and it would have part of the code you were going to write, and you had to wait a month for the next issue.
Oh, that's right.
So you could write the second part of the code.
The second half. Oh, gosh, I remember this. But also you had to type it all out because there was no internet. You just had to read it off a book, and then you'd frustratingly get to the end of that, like 2 pages, realize you'd missed a semicolon somewhere, and it was like, what do you mean?
Yeah, and what syntax error online, whatever.
That's right, exactly that. Yeah. No help debugging anything. Oh, they weren't the days, but they were the days. But that is an interesting tipping point, because at some point, I think Tim's prophecy there, that may be something we look back on and think, how did we let that happen? That moment where the developers are not, there's just no throughput. And so because we can get so much achieved with AI, you simply don't hire the developers, because that junior level work now can be done predictably, largely. AI will probably manage it. So where is that career progression? And hopefully there are people out there with agencies and, and all of that who are clever enough to see that, okay, we're going to create a problem for ourselves if we don't address this soon. And they do hire the developers and, train them up. And
we also could have a whole generation, as Marc said, that they don't become developers because they can become prompters.
Yeah.
Please never make them call themselves that.
Yeah.
But,
yeah. No, that's a whole industry, isn't it? I'm a senior. What do you do for a living? I'm a senior prompter. What do you prompt? Well, largely OpenAI, 4.0. Well done. Really good at prompting. Yeah. It's like do you remember What was it? The IT crowd, where they asked the lady who's clearly got no experience with IT what she's good at in IT because they're interviewing. She goes, "Yeah, I can open emails and receive emails, can send emails and delete emails. I'm good at that as well." It's a bit like that, chicken and egg. So loads of comments about this. So Tammy's saying, I use it for prototyping, and with Cursor, you can also run tests against it and rules to make sure it's also secure. AI, says Corey Mass. Hello, Corey. Writes good code under my instruction, but mostly it saves me so much typing. Well, that's true. You can just, you can watch in a heartbeat what would take you an hour to type out. That's very true.
I think to that point quickly, it's great if you can prompt it, say, I'm looking to build this. It gets you going, right? So it gets you in the right direction and gives you the framework that you need.
Plus, you can also ask it questions about like a spurious topic, like just show me an example of how I might achieve this. And so, well, it's like, it saves you a ton of time going out on Google, and it may not be perfect, but it might launch you in the right direction. So Matt Medeiros is now going to make a T-shirt with the word prompter
Superb
on it. I like it. Get AI to make a design that goes with it. Yeah, exactly. Prompt engineer. No, it's real. Prompt engineer is a role in some startups already.
Nice.
We're very.
I mean, if you think about it, all of these, every day, I mean, I get an email that just had, and all that email has is the latest AI projects that have been launched. Not new projects within companies, just new ones that have launched, and they make up, this massive long email. Ultimately, prompt engineering is just about configuring an API endpoint.
Yeah.
But it's a really, that style specialist is a real, almost special, it is a specialist subject in itself. But just something that Mark and when they were talking about, one thing that is really useful if you are doing this sort of prompting, you can actually, and it works relatively well with some of the AIs. If you say, please rewrite that code using the WordPress coding standard, it does actually have a pretty good get. I mean, still run it through a code sniffer that's actually running the WordPress coding standard, but it does make a huge difference to just say, please actually use the coding standard. And scarily, the really daft thing, please do it as if you were a good developer. That should not be a thing that so don't be a rubbish developer, please. Assume the role of a senior developer who's been doing this for 20 years and use the coding standards, and it produces better code.
That's fascinating. Right. Okay. I'm going back this weekend. I'm going to try my spurious things again, but write that with the WordPress coding standards and as if you're any good.
Imagine
competence
for a second that you're a really good coder.
Yeah. Imagine that you're a really good coder. Write me something. Okay. I've got it. Capital P, word prompter. Woo, go register that domain.com. Like it. And then Nomad Skateboarding says the magazines were the opposite of doom scrolling. You knew you were going to get something new and exciting every single time. I used to love getting those magazines. Remember .NET? I used to get .NET religiously. Like in the era of the internet, they sold me a magazine at like £5 a month about the internet. But it was so nice.
Just before they ceased being a thing, I was in negotiations to write a regular column. I just thought it was just so hugely ironic. I'd written occasional bits and pieces for .NET, but I was like, every time I would submit something, it was just like the irony of this, because for a long time it didn't have an online archive.
No,
it really was just purely offline.
A paper-based. Yeah, it's like I don't know.
.NET.
Yeah, it's like kind of like receiving, I don't know, on vinyl a podcast or something like that. It's just there's something a bit weird about that. Right, that was really interesting. But basically, the long and the short of it, though, is be absolutely terrified of AI. Because this is a really interesting piece. Go and read it at your leisure. It's on WP Shout. So it's not about WordPress, but it's it says the real AI threat isn't coming. It's already here. 3 cases of algorithms destroying lives. And basically it comes down to like health insurance. And how algorithms are now kind of making decisions about whether or not your care lasts for 16 days or 21 days. And honestly, it's a bit depressing that some of these algorithms and AI are getting into parts of life that they don't really belong. Can we all just agree? Can we keep AI? And if we, between the 4 of us, agree it's going to have weight, all right? Can we agree that AI shouldn't really be getting in education or health? Let's just leave it out of those two things.
So maybe
Tim's
this will
gonna
cheer
dis-
you up, Nathan.
Oh, good.
One of the lead articles in the newspapers this morning was that in the UK,
I saw
a bunch of AI projects have been scrapped on the grounds that they were insanely bad, including
Good.
ones for health, where they were just like, no, this is not a good idea. So, but it could have huge benefits. Imagine having a position where you could look for, I don't know, the next viral disease, and you need to be able to scan for and do certain things. It has lots
Okay.
and lots of major advantages. It's just-
Medicine, I'm not disagreeing with, but healthcare, let's just leave it out of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Anyway,
agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think here in the US, it's like they know that it's terribly bad and they do it anyway. So
apparently,
right.
here's a bit of a moment. Apparently, Tammy says that if you use the word roast this to anything you generate text-wise in chat, and it will refine it and remove the fluff. I didn't know that. So, next time you've got a dodgy bit of AI, tell it to roast this. We've got loads more that we could talk about, but I can see the clock, and it's coming up to like 1 minute to go. So unless any of those stories were pressing, I'll tell you what I will do. I'll quickly raise Tim's piece, because that looked, he wanted to mention this. Something about NVIDIA. Let me put this on the screen and you can tell us all about it, Tim. What's this one?
I mean, we're still on AI, and over the last week, you've got OpenAI and all the big, mainly American corporations spending billions on OpenAI, and then a Chinese company spent, I think it was something like 6 million to train their AI model, and it crashes all of the current benchmarks for people like OpenAI.
Really?
And the result of this wasn't a lot of people going, "Oh my!" It was the NVIDIA, who obviously who are huge in the AI space because they sell the GPUs. Just watched their price on the stock market go smash down, and a huge amount of companies are just losing value, specifically today because of this one announcement. And I think that sums up a lot of what we're going to see in these peaks and troughs of innovation, where up until now there's been this very much big companies run AI because it costs so much. So to see a company come along and basically say, no, 6 million, don't get me wrong, 6 million is a lot.
Oh, it's a drop in the ocean compared to the hundreds of billions
being
that have been spent.
So for somebody to just come along, yeah, we just did this and we did it, and we're not even in the they never worked in that space before, and they just did it. I was like, well, we took some of the learnings, and it's all open source.
Can I ask, when they announced it, were they in a revolving chair stroking a cat? By any chance?
I think they might have been listening to lots of TikTok videos.
It's like, they've developed a new AI in a sort of like weird, quirky British accent. Yeah.
I'm not sure if that's more. I don't know whether how if it's just me. I feel that's more than like many of the American corporations.
Yeah. Honestly, though, this stuff is going at such a pace. I feel that I'm never going to keep up with it, and the stuff, I'm going to become the old man who doesn't understand AI, and my kids will just be, it's doing this and it's doing that, but there are parts of it that still worry me, and the rate of change. And I didn't know about that story, and the fact that that is upending what already has upended a lot of industries. Gosh, watch this space. Fascinating.
Nvidia's down almost 13% today. That's a lot of money.
That is billions, isn't it?
It's down $18.25, 30 cents. Yeah, it's kind of, yeah.
I'd like to say this is a really cheerful moment if I didn't remember what my stock portfolio was mainly made of.
Yeah, I know. I was just going to say the same thing.
Is it mainly tech? If it's anything to do with US AI-based tech, then run to the hill. Okay, that's probably all we've got time for. I'm sorry if you put something in the show notes that we didn't get to. I apologize about that, but there we go. That's what we've got time for. The only thing it remains for me to do is sing danger mails to get. No, is to say goodbye to our three guests. Thank you so much to Tim Nash over there. Thank you so much to Marc Benzica. Oh, Marc's just raring to go. And Mark Westgard over there as well. We have to do this humiliating thing with our hands, as we all know. So let's do the humiliating thing with our hands. That's perfect. We got it. And thank you to you for giving us your undivided attention in the comments. I really appreciate it. That sounds so patronizing the way
I was going to say, well, except for the ones who didn't. Obviously.
Yeah, those people that didn't comment, you're not well. You are so welcome. Keep coming back. We really appreciate it. And we will be back next week with a different bunch of people, no doubt, getting into the the stuff about AI and all that stuff as well. But certainly WordPress. We'll be back next week. Thank you very much. See you soon. Take it easy. Bye. Bye.